Battlefield 6 is just over 2 weeks away, and while we debuted more details and gameplay about campaign yesterday, we're back with some more new details, this time for Portal, what I personally think has some of the most potential for the game of everything that we've seen offered thus far. Whether or not it lives up to that potential is yet to be seen, but the devs clarified a few things that we'll be seeing regarding Portal that I want to run down with you here today on this one. So as we go along, drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe to stay updated with all things Battlefield 6 and even more FPS content as we gear up for a very, very busy fall here with tons of game coverage coming. So I'd love to have you along for the ride, but for now, let's get into it. So to start, they talked about their sort of overall ambitions and overall goals for Portal right up front. They said they wanted to set up an upgraded tool set to offer creators the power to build experiences that were unimaginable in Battlefield 2042's Portal experience. They said the basics really come down to the preferred Battlefield experience and building a better tool set here. This coming along as a web browser, something you do on either PC, phone, or tablet. So you can create these custom experiences on the go or sitting down right at your desktop, wherever you want to create something from. They also said you can create how you want to play within minutes. We've already seen how many different sort of screenshots there are, but they detailed there's over 100 options that you can end up playing around with and tweaking from that front end in the Portal Builder tool. They said you can mess around with player count, damage tweaking, health regeneration, sprint sliders, weapon and vehicle restrictions, but that it's also only the starting point for Portal's capabilities. So further hinting that even more customization will be likely added throughout the post-launch support that we end up seeing for Battlefield 6. The toolset itself, though, as mentioned beforehand, is a sort of front end to the engine experience. You don't have the actual toolsets that you have for the Frostbite engine. Instead, this spatial editing tech is utilizing the Godot open source dev tools, which allows for changes and additions to be made to existing Battlefield maps. They said you can transform, rotate, and uniformly scale objects around the map, redraw combat areas, sectors, and HQs, but also that you can combine with other features that will allow you to create never-before-seen experiences in Battlefield 6. And as we see some of the B-roll footage going on screen throughout this video, you might pick up on some of that stuff that, of course, you haven't seen before in Battlefield 6. There's one Easter egg we'll come back to actually at the end of this video that I had to do a double take at whenever I first saw this footage, but along with other things you can customize includes custom UI. You can change the look and the feel and how it will play in game with custom containers, icons, buttons, and all. And you can even customize the scoreboard to your liking as well. You can customize AI scripting and behavioral modifiers where you can modify things like infill, weapon choices, behavioral commands, like if you want them to go as a wave like a horde-based mode, or sort of go back and forth patrolling an area that you have to create a stealth environment, something like that. They said you can use these tools to create top-down 2D shooters, classic arcade-style puzzle games, horde modes, and more. They said they wanted to give unprecedented control over what you can create with all of these. They also wanted to make sure it was accessible to all players, but also recognizing that it's pretty daunting to learn and master Portal. Like if you look at those screenshots, B-roll footage of going through all the settings, there's a lot of stuff there. And if you don't quite know where to start, you might not necessarily even want to try to start. But they said they're committed to helping players master Portal, where they said they internally want to produce tutorials to help you understand, host basic experiences that you can then custom tailor and tweak, guide through advanced tooling with advanced templates to play around with, kind of like reverse engineering and learning by actually doing it. Like you take these tool sets and already built sort of examples and templates, and then you can adjust them on the fly by actually seeing what those adjustments do to the in-game experience. So you don't have to start from scratch and try and tackle this giant open source editing tool set. You can learn as you go along playing with existing experiences, which I think is definitely nice. Like myself, I definitely want to play around with Portal, but I have no idea where to begin. So this is going to be super beneficial, I think, for people like me and maybe you that are interested but have never done this kind of stuff before, but want to take part for sure. But that said, you can create all this custom stuff, but how do you share it? That's the next big problem that they want to tackle. Discovery and experience is something that comes along with the server browser and progression discussion alongside Battlefield 6. They mentioned there's going to be an experience library that lets players use keywords and tags to search for specific experiences that they want to find. So if you want to find like a jet race, if you want to find a 24/7 playlist, if you want to find hardcore modifiers, you can search for all of those things right there in the experience library, where community experiences will also sometimes be featured on the Battlefield 6 6 main menu. Though it's likely going to be something that is more curated, more so approved experiences, just so you don't make sure you see any sort of slop come to the surface. But you will see those cool experiences actually on the main menu for Battlefield 6, which is pretty cool. Like, seeing that right next to the actual game modes that the developers themselves have made, that'd be pretty cool for a server host or somebody that created a mode to end up seeing that. But that said, there is also going to be a server browser, something that has been the talk of the town for Battlefield 6 since the very first confirmations of how Battlefield 6 multiplayer would work. Server browser in public matches versus in Portal. Portal is where this is going to be seen, so just reiterating that fact, but it's going to provide a running list of all available servers so that communities can play their favorite servers together. All of those tags and discoverability things will also be easy to use in server browser, so if you want to find one specific thing, you can search directly for it. It's also said it's easy to start up and create your own server where all players who purchase Battlefield 6 will have one persistent server that they can use at a time, tied to your account, that it's active whether or not you are playing, so you can create an experience that does persist. If you want to create something that is just a practice mode for you and your friends, or whatever the case may be, but still gain some progression out of it, you can do that, and your friends can jump in even when you're not online. But that said, if that's the case, if you can make all these custom sort of modes and experiences, how will the XP actually work out? Because surely somebody's going to try and create something that's like an XP farm, right? Well, XP will be gained no matter where you play, it just comes down to how much. The official or custom experiences, dubbed verified experiences, are closer to the traditional modes and the formulas that you see there. So if you want to have like hardcore modifiers or specific map rotations or like a 24/7 playlist, these will of course be utilizing most of, if not all of, the core gameplay experience, except for those small deviations. That kind of stuff will end up granting 1-to-1 XP, as if you'd play in the officially hosted servers from DICE. Custom experiences though, so like the top of the world parkour, the sort of jet races, that stuff will grant XP based off of time spent playing. But you'll also have tags that will showcase this before you jump into a server that will allow you to see right up front what kind of progression you'll get with each experience. So it'll be very transparent in that sense, but we do now know that there is a somewhat deviation in the XP granted, despite having the ability to, no matter what you want to play, earn XP no matter what. And finally, they closed out their sort of discussion on this with their ambitions, where they said after launch, there are internal learnings and community feedback that will be taken into account. So if you have feedback, if you have suggestions for Portal come launch, make sure you share them in the right locations, whether that be on Twitter, in their EA forums, or on Reddit. Doesn't matter, so long as you're getting your feedback out there, it's very possible it could be taken into account. They said that the Portal Builder tool will be updated with improvements after launch, pushing the limits even further. Now, they didn't detail any specifics, and they said they don't have any details to share today, but more tools and possibilities for capabilities of transforming landscapes, mixing and matching assets, and adjusting lighting for future tool sets are all things that they have in mind. So that's a pretty good pointed director for where we may see this go in the future. But okay, so what does that mean all for practicality-wise? Like, it's one thing to talk about Portal in the sense of the talking points that DICE themselves want to share, but what does that mean for the gameplay experience as a whole? Obviously, we have a campaign. We have a traditional multiplayer experience across the modes of Conquest, Rush, Breakthrough, Escalation, and a few other things that you'll see with those smaller modes as well in those combat zones. But when it comes to Portal, I said it when we first saw the announcement at the multiplayer reveal, and I still feel this way. This is essentially Battlefield creative. 2042's Portal, to me, feels like it was the building blocks, or like planting the seed for what this could be, and that 6, so far, pre-launch at least, feels like it's the actionable learnings deployed for the full thing, like a beta in 2042 to the full launch in Battlefield 6. But here's the thing, if you've seen 2042's Portal, there's absolutely a ton of slop. I'm sure that's going to be happening again with Battlefield 6. We're going to see slop at some point with Portal in Battlefield 6, but optimistically speaking, there's also so much more that can be seen as a positive than just the downside that you'd see a few servers that are like these grotesque abominations of modes or like map editing and stuff like that. From the aspect that you can create custom experiences like their mentioned parkour extraction or their top of the world experiences that pit players in an only up style mode that task you with parkouring up and up and up and as fast as possible while dodging potential obstacles of incoming enemy fire, to things like jet races that we've seen. It's all so cool. Honestly, I don't know if you caught this during the B-roll footage at all. coming back to that Easter egg we mentioned, there's a bomb defusal mode that they ended up making for this B-roll that it's literally a rough recreation of Dust 2 from CS in Battlefield 6. So like, come on, man, there's so much that can be done. And if there's investment into the infrastructure for the future, like they say, I think it's only going to get so much cooler. Then you consider the fact that you can progress your weapons and overall XP in these game modes, as well as you can play the game and progress truly however you'd like. The game is, like, quite literally entirely in your hands at this point. Now, monitoring, promoting, and other aspects like that, we have zero idea what will go into that at the moment, but I think the core base potential for Portal is absolutely there, and seeing all of this now laid out for us, I'm very excited. It's been something that I've wanted a deep dive like this that they've provided a little bit on. I've wanted this since the multiplayer reveal. Like, we got those sort of shards of details and information here and there, but this was the most in-depth they've gone since they announced Portal once again in Battlefield 6. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of Portal within Battlefield 6? Are you looking forward to the potential here? Or are you going to make something of your own for a custom mode? Whatever the case, let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, though, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. Of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Battlefield 6 and a ton more FPS content. This fall is incredibly busy, guys, so if you'd like to join the community, I'd love to have you. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.